Hello, and we are back for another personal yoga training video where I will be breaking down one of our yoga postures, Tadasana mountain pose. So that is going to be our tutorial today, is breaking down our mountain pose, because it is one of those postures that, like I said, can get easily overlooked. It becomes a very quick transitional posture when you are flowing in your yoga practice. And it's, again, one of those that would be helpful to look at closely to understand how you can take it off your mat, because it's one so closely related to how we are just normally going about our day and standing upright, right? So our Tadasana mountain pose is our standing posture, our standing mountain pose. This can look very simple, right? It looks like you're just standing. We do this a lot. We stand all day, every day. We are stacking ourselves and standing in this way, moving about the world. It is a natural upright position for a lot of people, mostly, right? So when we get cued to stand in our Tadasana mountain pose, you might just go into autopilot and you might just be like, all right, cool, I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm mirroring what my teacher is doing. I'm standing. I'm doing it. But if you aren't really listening to the cueing that they may be offering you, then that's where it gets overlooked, right? That's where you can easily just get into autopilot, because this is a shape we've done before, and this is a shape we often stand in just normally. But there's a lot that can happen here that can cause compensation in certain areas that can kind of counteract the benefits that this posture can bring, right? Because we aren't being mindful about how we're actively taking a role in the participant of being the person holding this posture, right? If we're holding the posture and we're not actively engaging our muscles, we're not taking an active role in how this posture affects us, right? We're letting things out of our control and out of our awareness affect us, such as if you aren't paying attention to the proper muscle engagement, which I'll get in here in a moment, you might find yourself slouching, right? Or you might be gaining just this sense of like coming forward, because we're sitting at desks all day and we're doing this all day, so that when you stand up, you might feel that similar hunching forward, right? Slouching. You might feel that you have this kind of like curvature in the spine that happens, right? There's all of this. There might be locking out in the knees, all of these things that can affect your balance, that can affect your posture, that can affect your overall like movement and how you go about your day, because we are stacking our spine. We are humans that walk upright, right? So like, to be able to stack that properly and to support ourselves in a proper way when we're standing upright is so important, because we just have gravity every day pressing down on us and compressing us down. So we, again, have to take an active role in counteracting gravity. And to go further into that, inversion therapy is a wonderful tool for that. But we're not here for inversion state. We're here about focusing on our upright posture. So I'll go into inversion therapy another day. But for our Tadasana mountain pose, the important part here is we really want to feel rooted into the feet. We want to be able to stack the ankles, the hips, the shoulders. We want to feel aligned in that posture. We want to be able to pull those shoulders up and down and back, right? Versus having them scrunched up by the ears, which a lot of times we don't realize we're doing, right? So for our Tadasana mountain pose, feet together, we squeeze into those inner thighs and we're lifting and lengthening up through the spine. Our feet are grounded in all four corners of the feet. So we're spreading those toes out and we're anchoring in the balls of the feet, the heels. So you should feel some sense of grounding in all four corners, right? The fronts, the backs, the right, the left. And then we're able to bring that engagement to squeeze those inner thighs together, to squeeze into the glutes and kind of lift and power that energy up through the spine. While we're powering that energy up, we have to be careful that the shoulders don't come up. We want to relax those shoulders down, shoulder blades down and back. And then arms can relax down beside you, palms face forward, and you spark to those fingertips to create that energy of grounding down, right, as we're lifting up tall through the spine. Your gaze is forward. You're finding a drishti, a focal point off in the distance that you can tune your energy into to help with your balance. And then your trunk, your core is engaged. This is often what we overlook, and it's not about sucking in or anything like that. It's about finding a confident engagement where your belly button is just tightly, slightly tucked in, right? So it's just this little slight tuck in, and then the pelvis might slightly tuck forward to help engage into that belly and into that core, into those core muscles. But by creating that strong trunk here, you're able to support your back and support your spine in stacking and standing, right? You're able to find that nice sturdy core trunk of what you're stacking, right? Because without that, then that causes this like gravity to press down and compress down. You have to have that counteracting of that strength here. So we find this duality of grounding down, anchoring down, and lifting up, energizing up, and standing tall. It's this practice of holding duality of anchoring and uplifting, right, and energizing. It's kind of this practice of holding those two dualities in the same space, which can be hard sometimes. So there's a lot more happening in mountain pose than you may think. And the idea here is if this doesn't feel comfortable, all this engagement happening, if you notice the knees are knocking together and the ankles knock together and that doesn't feel good, feel free to separate the feet a little, maybe taking your fist, placing it in between the feet there so that you can have still that engagement of inner thighs coming together, but you don't feel that uncomfortableness of the knees or ankles knocking together. So that's a modification you can definitely take. And noticing here that if the hands down beside you, shoulders relaxed is just like not working for you, you can also take hands to heart center. You can also challenge yourself more by taking hands up high to the sky to challenge work into the arms for your Tadasana, right? This is allowing more lengthening up towards the sky, which you have to be careful that the shoulders don't go up with you. So those shoulder blades relax down and back. Pinkies face forward, palms face each other. And then it's the same thing, working into those arms, keeping those up above the head and in line with the ears, while keeping shoulders relaxed, while keeping strong and stacking fingertips, shoulders, hips, and heels, right? So that is your Tadasana mountain pose. There's so much happening there that we can easily overlook. As you just may have realized, all of this engagement happening from head to toe that help us stay strong, rooted, and grounded. Because when we build on the strength here, then it'll help guide us into the next posture. It'll help build onto whatever we're building onto in our flow. So the reason why I have my massage ball here is one of the biggest things that I try to point out when you do your Tadasana or when you practice your Tadasana or any standing balancing or any standing, roll out the feet. Especially when I go through a Tadasana and break it down, I always point out that taking a massage ball underneath the feet, rolling out the feet, forward and back, side to side, circles, putting pressure and just kind of putting weight on that massage ball in any sweet spots, right, is so huge in being able to really find that anchoring in the feet and contact foot to floor. And so if you've ever taken one of my classes and rolled out your feet before, we always take a moment to check in on the feet before we roll them out. We check in the middle between both feet, rolling out one foot. We take a break before we roll the other, kind of check in, and then check in after to really see that progression of how rolling out the feet can differ. So I might pop on a little later and throw a video of rolling out the feet so that you can join me and have that in your toolkit as well. But just know if you don't have a massage ball, a tennis ball works great, a rolling pin, a canned good, anything that you can have some kind of a firm surface or a rolled up towel, whatever firmness is best for you that you can put pressure and weight onto and roll out those feet. Because then you're releasing into those feet. We stand on our feet all day, every day. As I mentioned, we walk around on our feet, not our hands. And so there's a lot of tension that can hold in those feet. They're small, little surface area, and they have a lot of muscles, a lot of bones in those feet, and a lot of nerves and all these things that like pack a lot of punch if we don't release them, and they can hold a lot of stress and they can cause a lot of issues. And so just be mindful of that. Like they carry you everywhere. How can you support them? How can you support your feet? How can you support the standing posture? And be more mindful about your Tadasana. So I encourage you to check out the week 1 solstice strengthening class that goes deeper into Tadasana and strengthening that posture and some other ways that you can just expand on your Tadasana practice is by taking a whole class surrounded and focused on Tadasana. So I've got that in my YouTube playlist, the Solstice Strengthening series, or you can join us live. It's not too late to join our live community, which is happening now. We have live classes on Saturdays at 8:30, and we are leading up to the winter solstice on December 21st. So I encourage you to join us to learn more about breaking down these postures. And until then, I will see you next week for our next yoga personal training tutorial.